just the material? It's the material total.
Material and labor.
No,
No labor.
there's no labor in there. Here's the bid.
The material cost is $5,300 and the labor, and the labor, and additional cost of $12,565. So the material cost is $5,300 and the labor.
No, the material cost is $5,300 and the labor cost is $12,565. Here's the actual bid that it came from. Anthony misspoke or whatever, but there's the bid anyway. All right, it sounds like we have a consensus. We're going to put the 10,000 in and we'll discuss it again before we vote on it. What do you do with Ken? Are there any other questions on page 3?
I just want to point out at the top there, line 422,450 is for animal control officer as well as SPCA, the housing agreement. I did make mention in the budget message that the SPCA is looking at 2 items. One is a countywide animal control officer. That's a little bit on the back burner at this point because they understand it's going to cost municipalities quite a bit of money. The other option, the other scenario is the SPCA is in need of funding. They have an appeal to the county commissioners and they're going to work through 2025 to develop some kind of appeal to the municipalities to increase funding. Because of the amount, because their costs are going up and they need to generate the funding from other sources rather than private sources. So just be on the lookout. That's, it's not, nothing will happen for 25, but could possibly for 26.
Gotcha. Is his phone number and everything on here for Veterans Park? Veteran. Do you have his phone number, Andy? Andrew?
Yeah, his email address.
I'll make you a deal. I'll bring it up to Lions to see if they'll make an additional donation to help them out, SYC up at the, I don't know where you are now here, but I just thought about that.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
sometimes
good.
the bathroom's the best place to think. I'll go to Alliance and see if they'll make a donation too.
Okay, appreciate it. That's a good idea. Okay, page 4.
Miscellaneous expenditures is triple this year, and what was 480.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was drawing a blank. That was for the damage to the street light by a tree trimming company. That came back in on the revenue side. That's just the holding account, basically.
We got reimbursed?
We did, yeah, in full. I have not received any additional information regarding library. Other than what was provided, which was their tax return and then the 990. So I'm not sure of the status of that.
It says annual donation. Do you know when it gets paid?
We usually pay all the donations after we get through April into May because of the real estate tax coming in.
Can I make a suggestion that this year we don't pay this donation until we figure out exactly what's going to be happening? I mean, they basically have said they're closing the Glen Rock Library.
Yeah.
It looks like what what York County is doing is they're pulling in money from all these other places, and it's the considered opinion of several people I've spoken to that we're probably gonna lose Paul Smith Library, and they're gonna take all the money that goes into Paul Smith and pull it back into York County Library system. I think it's a travesty, I think it's a terrible thing, but I don't want to give money to York County. I want to give money to Paul Smith if we're going to give money. So,
I thought the Glen Rock had to deal with the
well, they're
structure
talking
of
about,
the
yeah,
building.
it's
and the-
supposedly a building mold issue,
Yeah.
but I think they're grasping at anything to close these libraries down, and I really think it's a shame, but that's what's happening.
Didn't they make a presentation at the last
They did,
Clerk Council
Holly
meeting?
came in
Yeah.
with his wife, and, but they haven't told us what they're looking for. I think they've got a long way to go. I mean, they really, if they're gonna save the library, there's very few people on the board anymore, they're suffering from the same malady that all organizations are suffering from, just the lack of volunteers. I'm just saying I don't want to write a check and then the money disappear. That's all I'm trying to put.
Good point.
This is a good point.
Is there anything on page 4? We should go relatively fast, I would think.
I'm on page 9.
You're on 9? We're on 5. No, she's on 9.
Oh, she's ahead
I'm
of us.
saying there's nothing to discuss on any of these other pages, and I tend to concur, I don't have any notes.
Refuse, did you put the increase in there? And that was $10?
Well, that was on the revenue side. This is,
This
For
is
what I
all-
did,
Yeah, well, okay.
yeah, what I did is I took the amount of refuse that was generated in '23 times the increase in tipping fee plus the increase in the contract.
Okay. I just happen to have increased question mark on this page when I got to it.
Stormwater fund. Throw it in
I will point out that the refuse rate for the amount of garbage has significantly decreased with the new contract. And that's really relates to yard waste.
This
Yeah,
doesn't have anything to do
by
with the
about
budget, but
300 tons. Yeah,
this doesn't have anything to do with the budget, but it does have to do with, a lot of people still do not know that they can come down here and buy additional trash bags.
they need to read their newsletter.
Well, okay.
Tell them to read the newsletter.
I mean, we're sending it
but-
out in print. I mean, I don't know how you,
Yeah, but we'll
short of
continue,
taking out a billboard.
we'll continue to market that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Especially if, when the
Because-
trash goes up in
Yeah.
price, let them know.
Yeah, because that won't change, but
All right, Erica and I are on page 9. Does anyone have anything up to page 9?
Almost to the bottom of the sewer fund transfer share for the 22,000. What is that and who is that sharing with?
I'm sorry, where is it?
There isn't a
Page 9,
Of what?
Okay.
almost all the way down from the first column, there's no numbers. Sewer fund transfer
I got
share.
it, thank you.
22,000?
right.
Is that with the Shrewsbury Borough or something?
That's the capital reserve allocation. So when we did the capital reserve fund, we looked at the portion of basically the equipment that's utilized by the wastewater treatment plant, separate from the equipment that's used by New Freedom Borough for their collection system, for our collection system.
22,000
good
of
way.
equipment?
What's that?
So 22,000 of equipment?
That goes in the proportionate share report and then is split by municipalities because we need to fund that future purchases.
429,001 salaries, you and I talked about this before the meeting, I had a question. I mean, we're gonna have 2 new people coming on board, are we, and I brought up the question, we're not gonna be paying these new people the same amount that we're paying somebody, 2 people that were here for 25
Correct.
years. So why would that go up to 501, $10,000?
Right, so we're back at, we have a little bit of overlap there. We have a little bit of a transition period going for John, coming back a few hours a week to oversee reports, to answer any questions. So there's a couple weeks of payment throughout there that's kind of bumping that up, along with that 3% increase.
And we have a new hire that's there currently,
Yeah. Yeah.
so he's
So
kind
we're
of in
doubled up at this
training.
point, yes, yeah.
Who comes back? John?
John,
John will be coming back next
He's
year.
retired.
Yeah.
John Smith.
Yes,
Who is running the sewer plant now?
John Smith.
Yes,
He's
retired.
he's retiring in January of
First.
'25.
And
But-
who's taking his place?
David Dittmeyer,
And he's already there?
yes.
Who supervises David Dickmeyer that the things are being done properly? Like, reports, like the yearly kind of testing and kind of all that, who oversees him?
Well, he's been doing it for a number of years, so he's familiar with it. But, basically, it's no different than Donnie's a direct report to me.
Uh-huh.
David will be a direct report to me. Any kind of reporting, I get notified that it's not complete. He'll have to submit all the same number of reports annually. So,
Well, I think this last year wasn't in the water, there was something that wasn't reported or done for a year.
that was in the water system, but there was no, that was a test that was done every, Jake, what was that, 7 or 9 years or something?
Yeah, and it wasn't, when DEP gives out the schedule, the yearly schedule, it wasn't put on there,
Yeah.
and it was missed by our labs as well. It's just one of those things that, we did it, it's just that. it was
But
handed
you
in.
oversee Donnie for water, and is it Dickmeyer
David, yeah.
at the sewer
is he a
plant?
new hire,
To make
or
sure
is he?
everything-
No,
David's been there for,
Since he was,
15,
since, what do you say, 18 years?
yeah, I would say 17, yeah.
But you give the oversight to make sure everything's,
They,
I guess?
they run the water system, they run the wastewater system, I'm not micromanaging them, but,
but to make sure
They-
things aren't missed.
yeah.
All the certs and everything are up?
Certifications? Well, yeah, you can't run the plant, you can't have a license without, you can't run the plant if you don't have a license.
I didn't know if he was just still working on the license, or, okay.
He wouldn't be able to take lead off or wastewater director.
make the assumption we haven't done anything stupid here and move on.
Not at all.
Anything else? Page 10. Good.
Advertising for sewer, there's been zeros up until this year.
We have to allocate a portion of the budget as well as the financial report properly.
Recreation fund expenses.
The 80,000 for capital improvements is for,
Jim Davis, Park,
wasn't it 40,000 back in the revenue?
that's the grant coming in.
So the 80,000 is 40 in grant and 40 from us,
In capital,
so it's not really $80,000 coming out of the budget, it's 40,000, right?
Right, that's shown under revenue.
I know, but it gets confusing. I'd like to have revenue before expenses, so you just flip a page. and see.
You know, really, it'd be nice to see everything side by side.
Yeah,
I
well,
agree. I
yeah,
tend to
you're
agree.
right.
Okay, capital reserve fund?
just have, if we want changes in how things are done, just let me know before
That was
next
just a
year.
thought. Yeah, I know.
Sewer plant vehicle, what was that this year?
That was the replacement of the, director.
Vehicle?
Yeah, that was the 2013 F-150. That,
Now, that was our portion of it, of the cost?
well, that was the capital reserve fund, but you gotta remember that's being supplemented by, that was the 22,000 that Eric pointed out. So it's being supplemented by the other numbers as well, because a portion of that.
That's what I'm getting
Yeah.
at, that is how much we paid. We don't split this 38,000 with the other members. This is what we
No,
actually
it's split with
paid.
the other numbers.
Oh,
But
okay,
it was,
so,
it's split over time based on that allocation formula.
okay.
Yeah.
And that shows on the revenue side.
See, that's what I mean, that's nice.
Highway aid fund expenses?
Is the street light switch out completed?
The LED, yes.
And what's, is it, so to have them on is the $56,000?
Yeah, most of your street lights don't run on a meter, they run on a per unit basis.
How's that charge?
So if the unit is so many watts, if it's an LED, if it's mercury, sodium, all the different bulb types and wattages, there's a scale for that. We're billed accordingly.
Oh, so we really didn't save all that much money by going to LED? Look at 2023 and then look at 2025 and 2024.
Well, I think that was done in 20.
Not the LEDs one.
I have to go back through, but you're looking at two increases in that. You're looking at an increase
Electric increases?
in the contract and then a potential increase in,
So it would have, probably would have cost us a lot more had we not done
oh yeah,
it. Okay.
yeah. Because the LED rate is cheaper than the mercury
Yeah, I
vapor.
figured, they were talking about like a third, say
Yeah.
a third or a quarter between there.
Right,
Yeah, but you're looking at that 434,361,
yeah.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
$48,000
Yep.
amount. That was that upfront cost of to switch them out, right?
No, that was only, that was 10,000 something to
But I
switch
mean,
them all out.
that was in that time period, but.
We switched out 12 on our own that weren't ready.
There was a number that were not ready yet, you're
Yeah.
correct, yeah. Rather than just leave a couple here and there.
Mhm.
Community center fund, right, community center fund. Any questions?
What kind of condition condition is that elevator in?
Yeah, it's gonna be it'll be the next thing to
Good works.
go. It does, yeah.
Because I was just, when I saw that, I thought, man, I said, that's been up and down a few times.
And if I had a magic wand or something, we would take down the building, put in a single-story building,
And start on in how many dollars,
and, yeah, I know, it costs a fortune.
You know, that's the thing, it would cost a fortune,
Yeah.
2 fortunes.
Probably, bet it would be every bit over $8 million.
How much too? How much is VF, well, I'm not supposed to mention VFW. Well, I mean, we know how much is that?
You've been bet-
I'll
you've been
ask
bet-
Andrew, how much is it, because you have it on the plans, right? How much it's gonna cost?
Why don't we do that after?
Okay. I'm just curious,
I'm just asking.
comparing, you know, I know what I paid for my house and what it would sell for now, and
Okay.
it's hard to.
We're coming up on 10 o'clock. Do we want to wait until the next meeting? And I would like to ask everybody to go through this one more time, now that we've gone through it once, and come back with any questions at the next budget meeting, any suggestions. Is there anything in the appendix that we should go over?
Well, there's definitely documents in there that.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously.
But,
Worth
I
pointing
mean,
out.
they're self-explanatory, really.
All right, I do have a question on chart 9.
And I'm not gonna raise a crayon anymore.
So we raised taxes by 25% last year, and if you look at the 2024, we ended, there it shows a surplus of 591,000. Why were taxes raised? If taxes that were raised by 25% were only going to gain, was it 250,000?
No, you're looking at chart 9. You understand that that's all funds together. That's not separating out the general fund.
But for revenues, for everything, right?
No, but if you want to talk about taxes, we need to go to chart number 1.
Which again, revenues are above the expenditures, so why was taxes raised if there wasn't?
Which one, which chart are you looking at?
You said go look at 1.
Chart 1, 2024.
I was looking at 9. But why were taxes raised last year if there wasn't running, if the expenditures weren't outrunning revenues?
Well, you're talking about this year, and this is estimated, and there's a couple factors in there. One, the earned income tax came in much higher than what we budgeted.
I'm talking about 24 when voted.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, is it this year?
This is 24.
Well, we're talking about the 25 budget now. Now, but I'm talking about when we raised taxes for the 24 tax year, right?
And I was explaining to you that we're anticipating that, yes, in the general fund, we are going to have somewhat of a surplus, but that's a factor or a result of, 1, higher earned income tax collection rates, 2, $50,000 more in building permit fees. So between there, that's almost $25,000 more than what we were anticipating getting in. Just on those 2 numbers alone.
Those two, but it's like 341,000. You know, if you were running a surplus of like 591,000, you take the tax increase 250,000 away, you're still left with a surplus of 341,000. I was just looking at this and going, I didn't quite understand why taxes were raised by 25% last year. Just by looking at the chart.
Again, percentages is deceiving.
Well, then I was looking, you know, at this year for 25, and we're in a deficit by, what is it, 652,000?
But you're comparing, again, you're mixing funds. You're looking at that deficit, that's the sewer fund. You gotta talk about one or the other.
Well, is in, like, chart 9, is the 2.2 million in, for the sewer, is that part of that 8.7
That's
million?
the all fund summary, correct.
In there.
Yeah, the difference, again, the estimated between the general fund revenues and the general fund expenditures estimated for '24 was 228,000. You've got, just in your first couple line items, we are $137,000 more in earned income tax than what we anticipated. So
How
minus
could it be-
$137,000,
How can it be that much? How could you be off, like, that's a lot of money?
you're criticizing me for underestimating revenues.
No, I'm just saying, you know how many people are in the borough, you know, I mean, how
I
could
know how
it
many
be
people
off?
are in the borough, but you don't know what all of their incomes are going to be for the year. Plus, you need to look at collection rates. Some people wait a couple of years to file, so
What was it the year before? Like, what came in the year before, I guess 20, that would be 23?
we had this discussion during budget time, and we said we were gonna let the numbers conservative. So I'm not sure what you're trying to get at.
I'm trying to get just understanding, and I kind of feel like attacked by like, I'm
welcome to the
always coming
club.
in like with a machete trying to take I have questions, I'm looking at expenditures up and our revenues down, and I'm looking at our revenues down, and I'm just trying to clarify.
You're looking at all fund summary, you're talking about tax revenue, you're talking about sewer revenue, they're two different funds. You can't compare the two. You need to separate out the general fund. We were discussing the general fund question that you had with why were taxes raised if we're estimating a surplus. We're estimating a surplus because we brought in more revenue through earned income tax collections, through building permit fees, through reimbursements of previous year's expenditures, which was $35,000 from Burkentine. All of those things combined get you to the point of, yes, we have more revenue anticipated for '24.
I think what she's getting at is we may not have had to have as big a tax increase if we would have thought, you know, if we thought we were gonna have.
Yeah, but when does that money, or when does that come in? I think,
But
It
you
comes in.
have a healthy fund balance. Do you, I mean, part of your questioning with DCD every year on the forms that I have to fill out is, what's your operating percentage? Are you running a general fund deficit every year? Because if you start flagging those things, they're gonna classify you as a distressed community. They're gonna come down through and start doing additional audits. You need to have that healthy fund balance in case things happen, in case you go into a recession where you can't raise taxes, but you still have your normal increases. I mean, this is still proper planning. You're setting your pace with the other municipalities as well. You've got increases in emergency services that are outpacing your increases in your real estate taxes.
Well, I guess I didn't understand it because the municipalities around us didn't have the same increase in services for, you know, police and so forth, and nobody raised their taxes. So I guess that's why I didn't make sense seeing the chart like that.
there were additional monies allocated for fire and EMS during that time too. There was an additional $45,000 allocated for the purchase of the truck.
Rebates for fire,
Yeah, that was $6,000 this year.
right?
Not,
Yeah, fire.
by no means am I criticizing that, but it still needs to be properly shown as an expenditure.
Okay, I have one more thing that's just marginally related to the budget. Our tenant wants to meet. It's up to council whether or not we want them to meet and give them the option to meet in public, or I was thinking the two of us and Andrew could go meet with them if they want to meet privately. And then it wouldn't be a quorum, and it would be,
So haven't they already stated that they don't,
Sorry?
haven't they already stated that they don't wanna come to?
right, they're not going, I don't think they'll meet, they consider it their private business, and that the, you know, so apparently they want to talk to us, but they don't want to talk to us.
Well, the rest of council may have questions for them also. I think if they're not
There's
willing
nothing
to-
wrong with sending a committee, but I'm leaving it up to council what they want to do. I already talked to Davey. I mean, we could have an executive session.
That's what
I'm
I was
not really,
thinking.
I'm not really in favor of that, because we've never done that before, so, or we could send a committee.
Well, we never had it come up that we might want to do it before, really.
I think you gotta
When
send a
it comes to
committee.
contracts and leases, you can do that through executive session. Am I right? Well, he's not here. What do you say, Dave?
Yeah, that's right.
The numbers are the numbers.
Sorry?
The numbers are the numbers.
Yeah, but I think at least,
And
we
some
can
of
sit
their,
down with them and explain why the numbers are the numbers. I've actually put together a couple of things that I can talk.
well, wait a minute, didn't somebody go over the numbers or the numbers?
No, we sent them, yeah, I mean,
Send it?
I think we just need,
But I think that the council as a whole got a committee, the committee said this is it. Council further discussed it, came to an agreement, and I think it should be, Andrew should present that to them,
they did. He did.
and that is it. We've
And
done.
this is why, and this is,
I
Yes,
did all
and-
that.
And explain that
I
why.
did all that.
She's calling you a liar here.
just because the building doesn't
Either
have
she's
to
lying or
pay
you're
for
lying.
trash,
Somebody's a
show you
liar.
water, and
emails where I
sewer.
sent
I'm
her
not
the
saying you're a liar,
information.
but
I
I'm saying
understand, but-
somebody's a
and-
liar.
And I agree with you, council, you had the committee, you presented a number, they came back, you adjusted, you presented them a number, and you gave the reasons why, and
We
they're
even
coming back
adjusted,
again, and
we even
and
adjusted the electric and stuff. I mean, we
I-
came as
I-
close as we possibly
I understand
could.
that it's a commercial lease and there needs to be some negotiation, but that's my job, I'm in the middle of this. So I think if there's going to be additional discussion, it should be with the committee or in public session, so that there's not this accusation, because I have the emails where I sent everything.
I didn't
and
make it, she made it.
Right.
What's that?
I didn't make that.
No, no,
Oh, no, no,
She
no,
made
I
that.
understand, I understand.
Okay, so the only thing I'm asking is, do we want to sit down with them?
We
Or
already
do-
have a committee that went over everything. If you want somebody to explain it to them, we have the committee.
But there's been new light that's been shed since the last time, which is this increase. We're looking at a 5% increase in the electric use and,
Oh, yeah.
and the
That's an
utilities.
additional increase
That's an
over and
additional
above.
There you
increase.
go.
So that isn't coming down any, that's gonna have to go up by 5%. And there needs to be something built into their lease. Here, I thought, we have a contract, this isn't going up, you know, we have our utility rates. Well, apparently we don't, because it can go up at any time. That
And
should be built
trash.
into the lease.
Trash is going up.
That should be built into the lease. And they say in here, there's no bill that comes for water, for trash, nobody else pays utility. It's not accurate, and those services come at a cost. It is not free for those services to go to that community center. There is a cost. They run a business. They're not a nonprofit. They're not the senior center. They are a for-profit business.
Did we not give the same items of cost to the senior center?
Yes, they do pay utilities.
That-
Yes,
well, okay,
and water.
so
Yes.
what's good
They
for
keep
one
saying
is
they
good for the
don't.
other.
Well, let me give you one example, and then we need to come to a final conclusion on what we want to do. But on the building doesn't have a water, sewer, or trash bill. I said the building does have water, sewer, and trash. It is a public building paid by the public. You are a business, and the public should not pay your share of water, sewer.
Absolutely. There is a
So that was
cost.
my answer to that.
Mhm.
So I'm just asking, do we want to give them the opportunity and sit down and explain where we came from? Or we could say, you come to a public meeting. Those are the two options. Or,
I don't think you need to explain where you came from.
It's already in there.
It is what it is.
okay,
It is what it is. And I say, you know, we came down to the 23, I don't think, and I wasn't happy coming down to the 23, was it 2385? Something like that, from the 25, because the committee put thoughtful work into it, did lots of research, you know? The cost is the cost.
the only thing we came down
And you know- and you
was
know-
the electric.
And you know what it
that was
is?
based on,
Here's something.
And
right
now
here.
that's going up.
Yeah.
Here it is. It's a 25% increase. Everybody up here agreed, except me and I believe Denny last year, to impose that on the citizens, a 25% increase last year. Everybody was in favor of that. Things are going up.
25, oh, you're talking about.
So this, from what they are now to the proposal that they were just handed, is a 25% increase. And they're absurd saying last increase was 200%. It was not, it was 143% because they were paying pennies
For 13 years.
And you know what, for 13 years, I did the math on that. If you take the $380 that they were paying, you add in the $400 that they got the credit for, the citizens of New Freedom have subsidized that for-profit business over these years from approximately $39,000 to $90,000.
There you go. They need
That
to know
is
that.
outrageous. I've said
So I'm
that
hearing
a lot.
no, we don't want to talk.
Well, I will, but I don't see the use in it. He
I was
has a
just trying
job
to
to
bring
do
it to,
as council.
bring it to a conclusion, that's all.
I think there is a conclusion. Council sent it back to him. This is what it is. It should even be a little bit more than that, but okay, we'll, you know, but there needs to be some adjustments to they can't sign that lease right now because it needs to come back before us in the meeting because there needs to be that increase. There needs to be that increase of the 5% in the utilities. When we get that increase in the middle of
Well,
next
I
year.
Oh, don't
don't
go
disagree
there.
with, I don't disagree with you on that, but you're gonna change it in the middle of negotiations?
We've already given them up.
Yeah, we've already.
Proposed.
given
I
a copy of the
I
lease.
understand, I'm just saying, like, you're gonna,
Well,
you've
no,
already,
we don't-
you've already
that-
proposed them.
The only thing I will say is, they're gonna have to appeal to PUC, and they're gonna have to go through regulations. The 10%'s the extreme. The consultant's basically saying, we don't think it's gonna be anywhere near that, but when you're doing your budget, put this
Oh,
in.
whatever it is.
Sure.
Whatever the
But you can
increase
still
is
say there
for
is
us.
going to be an increase to
And,
us.
and look at what happened in North Carolina and other states. Here we have, I tried to talk to the council the last time this lease came up, to put a force majeure in there. What happens to our community center if we have an issue? If we have an issue in our community, that is the emergency center, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. And what happens when that lease, you know, we've got the lease there and we can't have access and utilization of that facility in an emergency? There needs to be a force majeure in there in that type of instance.
I always said we couldn't call it an emergency shelter because it didn't have
No,
showers or
that
something
was
like that.
not correct.
No,
I was saying,
it's,
that's something that you would, I
Yeah,
think, mentioned before.
it's not correct.
Okay,
That was Red Cross, when Inga looked into that,
okay,
and she wanted to be a Red Cross station.
I got it.
Red Cross, you had to have bunks, you had to have Not to say we can't get them, because we had them when we had, what was that? We had bunks in there for,
Well, the power outage?
yeah, I guess it was the
4
power
days.
outage.
Yes,
And that's
last
another
month.
thing they have to consider. They're never gonna be without power.
Well,
If they're gonna, there's something coming up on Saturday and they're cooking Thursday and Friday, they can cook. They don't have to
I-
cancel because they,
I was at, and the
It's
wait a minute.
5% on their electric, it's less than $20, so, I mean, they can.
That-
Well, we don't know if it's
doesn't
gonna be
bother
5%. The contract should say whatever the increase is, because we should not be subsidizing any part of any increase. Think we're locked into something, apparently we're not. But generator use. When we
never
have the
even-
power outage, who pays for that generator? They're using the generator, right, with all the refrigerators? Who's paying for that? All of the citizens are paying for that generator use, for days.
and
You know?
that'll go through, well, I don't know the new one, but the old one would go through a tank full of diesel in
And-
less than a day, I think.
And
It
this
would be
pro-
natural gas, but still.
And this
it's still
propane
fuel.
issue, keep the tanks at your home. Where are you gonna find someplace else to rent? What are you, you're less than 2 miles from where you do your business. Keep them at home and transport them when you go. When I came
Okay.
home Friday, well, actually Saturday, we had a dance with the girls, we had to come back. I came down Main Street, 12:11 a.m. Saturday morning. They were in the kitchen,
They're in the kitchen almost every night.
24 hours use. I think we've hamstrung ourselves, and
Okay, so we're not gonna have a meeting with them. If they wanna talk to us, they have to come back in public, and the lease is the lease.
but we need to bring that lease back, because they've given us a letter to discuss.
I'm not sure you can do
No,
I mean,
just
unless you
let
find
that
some
go.
gross-
This
Huh.
year, let
But
it go.
the increase, we're having a utility increase.
I don't care, we've already given them a proposal.
that.
You can't,
It's $18.75. I'm not gonna, I don't think we should be calling it that.
if somebody gives you a lease and says, okay, I'm gonna lease this house to you with all this, and you say, okay, sounds good, I'm gonna, and you sign it,
But that was unforeseen.
I don't care. My daughter's electric was unforeseen, and it went up $30, and the guy had to eat it. Because he said including gas and electric.
Do you need any clarification from council on the lease?
No, I had it all documented, and it was, it's all in the draft minutes, and it was, I think, 6 items that council went through as part of the motion to go back after the last negotiation. I know it was the propane tanks, it was an answer within 25 days, it was the electric increase, it was using the building as tax exempt, adjusting the square footage.
And the room that they've been using for 2 years, both rooms that were on the
I
lease?
thought that was under with
The square footage, yes.
Yeah, I thought it was 6 items, and
Yeah,
it's
I
5 or
think-
6 items that I went through, and that was in the email back.
We're getting
With the
dangerously
revised.
close to not
Yeah.
talking about the budget. So,
Well, no,
I
this
think-
is a part of the budget. It's
no.
not-
No, it's not.
no.
Well,
It's
that's in the
almost-
budget.
It's almost a separate item.
Okay, let me ask one more question. What are the legal ramifications of keeping propane tanks outside? Anywhere?
You have to, look at Home Depot, look at any convenience store, they have to be kept outside. You can't even bring an empty tank indoors.
Right. It has to be outside,
And you
it has to
gotta
be
have a
caged in, and.
You have
and
to
you
have the
have
pillars.
Yeah, you have to have the pillars in place, I mean, if they wanna do that, then I guess,
Yeah, you have to have a rack to put them in.
right.
They can transport
And
them.
they have-
Well, they did have one last year, correct? Or was that ours?
They never had one.
Yes, they
They-
did.
they-
There was
yeah,
a
it was
rack
like
there.
a stainless steel.
There was a rack. We went up, there was a rack
That
there.
is for a kitchen.
Okay, let's
It
do,
locked, it
let's
closed
do this.
and locked.
It did
If
not
they
lock.
come back with a proposal for the propane
We
tanks,
would-
we'll review it,
There
if
was
it's
locks on it.
safety requirements, then, okay, but if not,
My response back is the same,
Sorry?
my response back would be the same response that was sent the day after, or 2 days, yeah, it was the day after the last meeting.
Right.
Okay, that's,
Right, okay.
The lease is the lease, that's what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what council approved.
Anyone want to make a motion?
I move we adjourn.
no, we can't adjourn.
Why?
Why not?
Because this is, we're continuing the meeting.
No, we have another meeting.
No, it was
No,
advertised as
it's,
separate.
the agenda says.
Adjournment to the regular meeting, yeah.
You don't adjourn and then carry on another meeting.
Yeah.
You do when
we
it's
do.
scheduled.
If,
Adjourn to the
As long as it's
regular
scheduled.
meeting.
Right.
You don't adjourn, you,
Well, in that case, we would just never adjourn, we would just have, because we have 12 meetings a year.
we
so
would
can-
continue.
All in favor?
yeah, it's a continuation.
No, but this is
It's
separate.
not a
Right.
continuation.
Well, that's what it says here.
No, it
on
says
the agenda.
adjournment.